Welcome back to Comics and Sweet Tea, boys and girls. I know I've been absent for a while, just had a lot of shit going on. But hey, just wanted to jump on today and just hang out with my buddy and partner in crime, Keith Mirage. And hey, we're just going to shoot the shit and talk about some of the stuff that Marvel and Star Wars has dropped lately and kind of our thoughts on it and where we stand with it. And God knows what we'll get into. If you watched this before, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, let me bring in my partner in crime, Keith Mirage. Let me get you in here, Keith.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, dude.
Thanks for having
And
me.
as usual, yeah, pleasure to have you on again, bud. Uh, and apologies to everybody for being late. As usual, technical difficulties. We've turned into our fathers, you know, so it is what it
Let's
is.
not go that far. We are from the generation called X. So
That's true. That's true. So how you been doing, man?
good. Had a bit of a slow storyboard month last month, but trickled
Yeah.
in here and there. And so for anybody that doesn't know, I storyboard for a living, and then in between, I'm working on my book Skylights. So that's why it's slow. That's why it's like most people in indie comics. We everybody is working their real jobs, and then working for the passion project of indie comics, and doing that whenever there's that free time between life and in between work and life. So
Right. And whenever you guys get to griping and moaning, well, when's he going to come out with the next damn issue? Kind of just take it into consideration. We've got day jobs too. You know, and
yeah,
this is our passion, and we
yeah,
squeeze it in where we can, when we can, and we do our best to get it out in a timely fashion, but that doesn't always happen because life gets in the way. That's just like this YouTube show. I started it a while back. Keith started a channel. Y'all need to go over there and check his out and sub his channel. And hey, we do this because we love it. Plain and simple. And
Mhm.
another reason we're just kind of dissatisfied with the mainstream shit right now.
Wow,
So
you're just gonna get right in it.
oh yeah, I like to dive in.
Nice segue.
Hell yeah. Jumping into what should we shit on first, Marvel or DC? Or
Oh,
Star
um,
Wars?
okay. um,
I'll let you pick.
so in between, working and working on comics, we watch these films for some reason. That I mean, I'm not like you asked me at what I had watched, and I really kind of I think with like with Star Wars, okay, what was grounds for divorce was not reuniting the original three
Oh,
of
definitely.
Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and the late um,
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher. And I think that was like the beginning of the end, when they have it's clear what they're doing, what their agenda is at this point. People still hanging on and pretending that it's you know for them, like a fan, like they care about what the fans think, when it's clear agenda that they have, um, running the show, and it isn't about making good stories. So I think that's basically the where I am
The gist
with
of it, yeah.
with
I
but with Marvel
go
too
ahead.
now. Yeah, no, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the first Oh God, probably the which I mean, Marvel was a little shaky right out of the gate too. But I mean, Iron Man, Captain America, both of those were solid, man.
Hmm.
The stories were incredible. The first Avenger, I would probably put in my top 10 all time favorite movies, not just comic book movies, but movies in general. I mean, it's just top notch. And Iron Man is probably in my top 20 all time movies. And I mean, as they kept going, I mean, they would, and they stumbled a little bit in phase two. And, the last, let's see, the Infinity War and Endgame, I mean, they stuck the landing there. I mean, really, the Russo brothers, they come in, and I always have trouble remembering the writers of those movies, but oh my God, they were incredible for those last two, especially the way they
Yeah.
tied that all up, and they did what most things can't do, and that's finish, finish the race, land the plane, however you want to look at it, stick the landing. I mean,
Mm,
they just nailed it in every way, shape, form, or fashion. It was a perfect story. Those
mm,
last two movies, and they had that perfect balance of humor and drama. It was serious when it needed to be serious. It was funny when it needed to be funny, and pretty much Star Wars, like you were talking about earlier, was the same way. The original trilogy, nothing's come close. You know,
right.
I mean, the prequels. I mean, they had their moments, but my God, the dialogue in those.
Hmm.
And hey, I put that squarely on Lucas. Yes, he's one of the greatest visual storytellers of all time, and I emphasize on visual because I mean you can't ask for a better director as far as visuals. If you take just the visuals in that movie
Hmm.
and you just take out the dialogue, I mean it's just mesmerizing stuff. Some of the shots he takes, even in the prequels, I mean it's a thrill to watch. You know, I mean, yeah, it's over digitized and there's too much CGI, but even what he was doing breaking stuff with the CGI, and I mean stuff
Yeah.
that they're still building on. And we wouldn't have the movies we have now if it wasn't for his ground. Well, I say his groundbreaking work. It was,
Hmm.
I mean, he started Industrial Light and Magic,
Hmm.
and those guys, their groundbreaking work was CGI, and just even from the very beginning of Star Wars with the original trilogy, the stuff that they did. I mean, it's just without Lucas, we wouldn't have movies like we have movies now.
Yeah.
Endgame would not have been possible. Anything you've seen on with any kind of effects would not be possible today if it wasn't for Lucas and Industrial Light and Magic.
Definitely. And that, what's funny about that is Joe Johnston um, directed The Rocketeer. He directed um, First Avenger,
Right.
and he was one of the original effects storyboard artists and model builder working on those original Star Wars films. That's where
Oh
he got his
wow.
start
I didn't
with
know
the
that.
original. Yeah, so like he's a
That's
great
awesome.
storyboard artist. I mean, he was. They were working. There was that whole team working on the models, the flight, the
Right.
planes, and the Death Star, and everything. And he and others were storyboarding and making models and all that. So, but yeah, Lucas is a pioneer in filmmaking. I actually like the the prequels. I found a new love for them since I think the Disney Star Wars, we can call it that, and
Yeah.
and a new appreciation for them. And while they are different in tone from the original three, um, I do enjoy them sometimes. I'll rewatch them. Um, but I think a really important thing that is missing with the Disney Star Wars and people that are always diving into that world of Star Wars is when George Lucas um, started, did what is now called New Hope, Star Wars Episode 4. He his inspiration was from old serial matinees, the
Oh yeah. Buck
Flash
Rogers,
Gordon,
all that. Yeah, Flash
yeah,
Gordon.
and the comics and the the Saturday matinees, going there and seeing these serial things, and that was his main inspiration, and he wanted to duplicate that, replicate that in first with Star Wars and then Indiana Jones, and um, I think that is what that was the template for what set up the original three, and that was the template for the original, at least the first Indiana Jones. So those, though, that feeling, that event of adventure and fun is kind of um, completely ignored with what Disney and what people try to that are playing in the world of Star Wars. That element, they're trying to add more realism. They're trying, like, there's just a focus on marketing, right? There's a focus on
Right.
selling toys. There's a focus on whatever the internal agendas are of the group community approach to filmmaking that Disney has, and I think this is the detriment of we see it all across film, not just with Disney, where it used to be a director's medium. It was director had the sole vision, and it was everybody's job to put their expertise to try to get that vision made into a film, which is an incredible, like, unbelievable task in itself. But
Right.
where we are now is a, and I see it um, from working just where what I do in storyboards, and um, it is very much a community based medium now, where you're where it was definitely considered before with marketing and focus, demographics, where we're going to bring this. But now it seems to be heavily influenced in that producer led um, uh, led medium. It's not so much directors anymore that are leading the the production. It's a group thing. It's it, it has other motivations than just you're not, they don't trust the director anymore, and I think that's a
Right.
detriment to all of us, to the film medium itself, to storytelling.
Right. And you talk about the director. I mean, I will say this about the new series, The Mandalorian. I
Mm-hmm.
have thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know what to expect out of it,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as the storytelling and some of the things, and honestly, I think that's because that's their brainchild, basically. Filoni and oh god, help me out. Directed. It was Happy
Dave
and
Filoni and John Favreau.
Favreau. Yeah, Filoni and Favreau, the F
Yeah.
brothers. But anyway,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah, they it was kind of their brainchild. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Favreau wanted to do Boba Fett, and because they wouldn't allow him to, he put pretty much all of his eggs into the Mandalorian basket, and uh made him what he wanted to do with Fett. And every season to me has been better than the last season. And from what that little snippet that we seen, online that somebody had shot from I guess it was what was it? Star Wars Celebration, where
Mm-hmm.
they kind of sneaked it and threw it online. That looked
Mm-hmm.
incredible, and I can't wait to see what they do with the series. I have a good idea where it's going, but I mean, everything else. I said all that to say this. Everything else is kind of paled in comparison to that. Boba Fett was like, wow. This is
Mhm.
dog shit.
Yeah.
To put it bluntly, I mean, it was
Hmm.
terrible. I mean, if I heard him say, "I'm Boba Fett" one more time, I wanted to throw the remote through the damn television screen. And I mean, who cares? Nobody cares you're Boba Fett. I
Mm.
mean, you're like a shell of what we
Especially
thought
now.
you were. Yeah, I mean, it was terrible. And even Obi Wan. Oh my! Let me talk about Obi Wan for a minute. It started out incredible. First episode, loved it. And then they jumped off a cliff. And I hate to shit all over these things because a lot of
Hmm.
people put their blood, sweat, and tears into these projects.
Right.
And Deborah Chow, the director of this whole series and showrunner for Obi Wan, she directed some of my favorite episodes of The Mandalorian.
Hmm.
And when it was announced that she was going to be showrunner for Obi Wan, I was like, that sent my thrill level through the roof.
Yeah, she had
And
some good episodes in Mandalorian that she directed. So
yeah,
I kind of knew at that point though when the show was announced, not announced, but as they were getting into it, that I mean there were things coming out, that there were script changes and there were things cut, like they were thinking about having Darth Maul in there, and they changed that because there were some notes that it was too dark. Um, so I mean, there's things like that that is consistent from the Star Wars camp, um, that they're afraid to have they're afraid to deal with villains, and they want to make all the villains good guys. And I think,
right,
or like a circumstantial bad guy, and then they'll turn into a good guy. And when you have that, you're you're really defeating the purpose of the story, that the whole purpose, which is to support. If we don't know if we don't know the dark side, there's no way we can see the heroes that rise up
right,
against it. So I mean, it's this really simple fact. Like, it's a really simple concept that, and I think Favreau had like the best of intentions with Mandalorian, and I think it failed to reach its mark. I mean, it looked great. They had the production, they had the
yeah.
design department from the previous Star Wars, and like it looks like Star Wars, right? But
Oh, definitely.
that starts to fade as you go through the the different series, and it really is like a very Disney Star Wars aesthetic that they have developed, where it matches the parks and um, where they want to go, where it's very non-threatening and it's not scary, which doesn't make sense.
Right.
With everything else that they do, doesn't
Yeah.
line
Tell me
up for
about it.
why they don't want to develop character. They don't want to go in the places that that they need to go to in order to tell an effective story. So from like a creator standpoint, is where I'm coming from looking at it. Um, and as a fan, I just I want to like it, and I can't, and
Yeah.
I'm basically resigned to the fact that, like, I'm kind of bowing, like I'm done with, like, falling
Bowing
for
out,
it and
huh?
taking the bait. I'm
Throwing,
done taking
throwing
the
up the
bait.
little white flag.
Yeah, I'm like,
Waving the
okay,
flag.
all right,
Oh,
you
you got me. I'm
you
done.
you everybody else, whoever wants to enjoy this can enjoy this, but I know crap when I smell it.
Doesn't matter how you package up.
Yeah, I don't need to eat
Dog
it,
shit is
you know.
still dog shit.
Like,
You can put a nice little bow on it and you can spray paint it pink, but it's still
yeah,
dog shit.
it's yeah.
Put glitter on it. Still dog shit.
So I mean, that's how I feel about it, and Like I can either be
Yeah,
mad for like every time they come out with something, or just go watch something else. And
right.
and I don't want to be mad every time they come out with something, because I see people's entire brands based off of that. And that's
Yeah,
fine. Like it's entertaining and funny sometimes, but it's just like uh, I have I need my energy for other things, to be honest.
yeah. I got you.
Uh,
And I mean, it's not even anger with me. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is at some points, but for the most part, it's just disappointment because I mean, they
yeah.
have the means, they have the money,
Mhm.
and I mean, it could be, you know what it could be,
Oh yeah,
and they just, and you see some of it of where it could go with the Mandalorian, like you said. I
hmm,
mean, Favreau and Filoni, they, oh man, these guys, I really wish they would just leave them alone and let them do their thing.
yeah,
Because I don't know if anybody knows Star Wars other than George Lucas better than Filoni. I mean, he
yeah,
pretty much, Lucas groomed him, and for the Clone Wars and
yeah,
that series. And
hmm,
I don't know if anybody knows the characters better than him other than
hmm,
Lucas. And
hmm,
that was one of the things I was going to touch on. That you mentioned Darth Maul. That was one of the reasons Darth Maul wasn't in that, because it would have taken away from the series that Filoni did, Rebels, because that was all tied up in Rebels, and they didn't want to touch on that again because in Rebels, spoilers, he uh he hasn't seen Obi-Wan since, the very years and years and years, way
yeah,
back to pretty much the prequels. He's been
yeah,
hunting for him and trying to come after him, but we never found him until the Rebels show. And I don't know if you guys on here have watched that one scene between Obi-Wan and Maul. And if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's probably one of my top five favorite scenes in all of Star Wars. Yeah, it's animated, but I don't care. It's perfect.
well, I mean, I don't think continuity factors into the producer end of the agendas, the
Oh no,
shareholders or the CEOs that have
no, they could give a
um,
shit.
too much of a say into um, it. Like I said, storytelling is not the main interest of the people that own Star Wars. It's not storytelling. It's
Right,
not the history of the characters, and it's certainly not the fandom. It's not the fans. It's not the people that they're interested in. uh I don't know. I wouldn't even call it Saturday morning cartoons. It
no,
it it's it's disjointed and very convoluted. It doesn't have a clear focus. It doesn't have a somebody at the helm running it. I mean,
right.
with
They need a
right.
Feige.
Well, Feige did something that I think that the Warner Brothers wishes they can do, but I think it's
Oh
too
yeah,
late. Like it's already been done. It like Feige did it. We saw it in that decade long build up to
right.
Infinity War, Endgame, and I think the comic book movies like kind of ended with the snap. Um, and and then we got the they tried to bury Snyder's Justice League. They tried to reroute that because they were intimidated with the numbers of what Marvel was doing. And
Yeah,
uh, you know, uh, I think it's over, man. Like I don't. There's nothing that they can do. There's nothing they can do. They can bring back Robert Downey Jr. They could bring back Chris Evans as Captain America, and it will not be the same excitement, the same hype
no,
of what they did, because it's been done already, and those
yeah,
actors aren't going to return unless it's just a payday for them. And there's nothing they can do to like fix this comic book film mess, this cinematic mess, because everybody has their own ideas. And if you have, you're not on this, you're not listening to having one drive, one focus for with storytelling and character, and honoring the characters for what they came, which you have a built-in audience, and you're alienating them by ignoring the
Right.
source material. So, what, like, you know, fuck these people. I'm don't like I'm done with that. The studios, man. These people that
Yeah.
are like, they don't care about Star Wars. They don't care about Marvel, Spider-Man, or anybody. They don't care. They don't care about the history. They don't care about the people that made entire careers building these characters. They don't
Right.
respect what they stand for. They don't respect for what they are. The they the iconic um, responsibility that they hold worldwide for people. They don't care about it.
Right.
And um, Hollywood destroyed these characters. The biggest villains that Batman, Superman, X Men, Spider Man could have ever faced, bigger than Darth Vader, is Hollywood. Hollywood
Yeah.
producers. There's no, like, it's just I it's just what I think. I think there needs to be, if they're going to do Star Wars, it has to be. I mean, they made Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which fit beautifully in between the the canon. Um, yeah, Matt, it is. It definitely is. So
Yep.
this is the state, I feel, of the industry of taking these heroes. We have people running them that aren't that couldn't care less about the what these characters stand for, how they inspire people. Um, they're about the bottom line, and that is how much money can we make. They're trying to appeal to everyone. When it, one size fits all means, it doesn't fit anyone. you know, and
Right.
that's what they're trying to do. And this will be their end. This is what will, like, this is it. And as long as people keep picking up, like, uh, whatever crumbs they're fed, dressing up as familiar characters and saying this is Spider-Man, or this is who Batman, or whatever, and accepting it because you're fans of wherever that enjoyment and inspiration originated from. um, it's just unacceptable. It's unacceptable
Right.
as a creator. It's unacceptable as somebody who you know read comics growing up. Who superheroes were always there from my earliest memory, and I I think it's just unacceptable what they've just done with the characters, and these franchises, that appeal to everyone. And it didn't
Right.
matter if you were a girl or black or Hispanic or white. Where all over the world you'll see people wearing a Superman shirt, a Spider-Man
Right.
shirt. Like, it they it's not about these things that they're gaslighting people into thinking. These characters mean so much to people's lives. They aspire people to be better, and this is being spit on by greed.
Big corporations.
Yeah, that are trying to
Hey, yeah,
virtue
I couldn't have
signal.
said it
And
better myself.
so,
Definitely. I wanted to be Spider Man. I wanted to be
of
Superman.
course.
I wanted to be Batman. I mean, they are what anybody could be. Not the
Hmm.
superpowers, but
No.
just they help people.
Hmm.
That's what the big corporations don't understand. They're
Yeah.
they're shitting on heroes.
Yeah.
Those were heroes because,
Mhm.
like you said, it didn't matter about race. It didn't matter about, whether you're a girl or a boy. They were just good people trying to help people and save people. And, that,
Mhm.
it all, yeah, I get frustrated just thinking about it,
Sure.
because everything that they've done with these characters over the past 10, 20 years, they've pretty much stripped them of all that. You know,
Mhm.
Batman, the latest Batman, which I loved because that is the closest thing that I have seen as far as an adaptation to screen. That's the closest to the character. And yeah, there were faults in that too, just like everything else.
Have you
But
watched it again?
I haven't watched it for a second time. I have not.
Exactly. Exactly. I
There,
can't bring
there's some
myself
big
to watch
holes.
it again. And while the elements were there, and I think because um, Matt Reeves is such like he's a good filmmaker and a very good
Oh yeah,
storyteller. Um, but I these things are open for interpretation, and that's fine. You know, and but I I mean, what does that mean if I haven't seen it again for a second time, and it's available to me to see it second, third,
right.
fourth time? There's something I don't care to see again. And
Yeah.
as much as like I love the Batmobile or like this compartmentalizing of things
Maybe
that I
you're
thought were
scared you'll
cool.
start looking for the chinks in it.
Well,
You were
I
so
already know what they
overtaken the
are,
first
but
time.
I
Yeah.
don't want to I don't really want to tear it apart. But um that says something to me. And the second one
Yeah.
hasn't even been greenlit. We've got that Zaslav guy coming in, and he canceled that Batgirl movie.
That was
um,
wow.
so I mean, do you like? Let me ask you this: do you want to see uh, a complete revamp of DC Universe? And there's still people out there saying restore the Snyderverse. Like, how? Where is your stance on this?
Oh man. Oh,
This convoluted DC
it's
lore.
yeah. It's it's in a horrible mess right now. I would hate to be this guy
Decades
that's
in the
taking
making.
up. Yeah, yeah. I would hate to be Zaslav, the guy that just merged and took over WB because he just got handed a giant steaming pile of shit that he's got to try and
Yeah,
sort through
and he
and
said
make something out of it, polish a turd, basically.
he said in response to canceling the Batgirl film that it's our it's their job to protect the DC characters. It's their job to
Right.
protect, you know. But what does that mean to this guy? Like, what is
Yeah.
that entail? You
Time will
know?
tell. I mean, it's going to be hard to judge it off these first couple movies that come out in the next few months because they were already way in production before he come in. Like
Yeah,
Black
and these are
Adam and oh god, Shazam, Fury of the Gods or whatever. That's I think that's due out right at the end of the year. So I mean, it's going to be hard to judge him and what his where his direction for the DC universe off of those two movies because he really didn't have anything to do with those two movies other than the
right.
fact that he didn't shelve them. And I know from what I've read, he really wants Henry Cavill back as Superman. And I
A
mean,
lot of
hey,
people do.
he's the head. I mean, he owns it. If anybody can make it happen, he can. I mean, if he and from what I've heard, I mean, Henry Cavill and what I've read, Henry Cavill wants to do it. So I don't see what the big deal is here. I don't see what the disconnect is.
The
Hey,
big
you
deal,
call the man up. Yeah,
the big deal is the Zack Snyder Man of Steel and the Batman versus Superman that everybody in the studios freaked out about and the fans, which is like based off of Frank Miller,
Yeah.
Batman and Superman, heavily, and that was controversial. And the movie going audiences had the same problems with that take of Batman that the people in comics did. And so that's an interesting thing. But in order to continue with Henry Cavill, you have to acknowledge this the Snyderverse, as it's called.
Right.
And I think that lies in their dilemma. And how do you move forward with Cavill, Gal Gadot, and they're going with Black Adam because he it's The Rock. He brings
Right.
in the box office. People want to go see this guy, and he's, let's face it. I mean, he's built like a superhero. That's
Oh
his
yeah. He
career.
fits. He fits the role
So
perfect.
he fits there, and he's very passionate about it. I think he's very into it. So where it goes with him, and you know people still demanding Snyder. I mean, they were supposed to. It looked like they were trying to reconstruct things by using the Flashpoint with, but now they have all the problems with Ezra Miller. So
Oh man,
it's like
I hate to
they
laugh
are so
because it's
screwed, man.
horrible. They
They're
really
they're
are.
so screwed. Like every time they try to do something, they're screwed. So
It
they keep
yeah.
tripping
It
over their own feet.
right. And I mean, we've still got almost a year before that releases, and I mean, the only way this movie doesn't get released is if Ezra Miller just goes on a killing spree between now and then. God forbid.
But
Because they and the sad part is, who knows, that could happen. I
give them
mean, this
enough
dude,
time. Just give them
yeah,
some more time, and Ezra
yeah,
Miller will be, you know, who knows? I mean, he might think
yeah.
he's the Flash at this point. I don't know.
Oh God, what was that? The Mad Goat King or something? That's what he thinks he is.
Oh, like in
Yeah, he
Game
got
of
on.
Thrones, the Mad King.
Oh man, yeah, this guy got on social media, and that's the first thing he said. And but anyway, uh, jumping on that a little bit more, all the stuff that this kid has done, dude. I mean,
Uh,
you would think
allegedly, of
they would
course.
have. Well, yeah, eh, some of it, but anyway, yeah, I would hate to be this guy. He's sitting there. Can you just imagine this guy sitting in his office after he bought the WB, and he's sitting
Mhm.
there, and he's getting ready for Flash, and he just watched a good cut of it, and it's like, oh yeah, this is going to reset us. This is going to fix everything. And then you got an assistant coming in the
Yeah,
door, sir, turn on the news, and fuck.
Ezra Miller's been
Yeah,
arrested.
yeah. Ezra Miller choked somebody out in the
Barry
park.
Allen has
Yeah.
been
So
arrested.
then it's all quiet. He's like, well, we're just going to act like it never happened. And then a month later, everything's good. They're getting ready for the release, and uh, there's that assistant again. Sir, turn on the news. Ezra Miller did this, and it's like, oh my god, you know,
Yeah. So
it's just
so
one thing after
people
another.
people are already like saying they're not seeing the movie. So it's
Yeah,
dead before arrival, you know,
a lot of
because of
people
Ezra
say that
Miller's
about a
presence in the
lot of
film.
different movies. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
he's done a lot of shit. Don't get me wrong, but
but remember, like Ridley Scott reshot the entire movie and replaced Kevin Spacey with that other great actor
I know exactly who
because
you're
of
talking about.
Kevin Kevin Spacey's
And he didn't
scandal.
have to reshoot the whole movie. He just reshot his part. He
Hmm.
wasn't even
All his
in
parts.
studio to redo it. Yeah. I mean, from what I've read, Ezra Miller is in every single scene of The
Mhm.
Flash. He plays multiple parts and he's in every scene. So they've already sunk over $200 million into this thing. They would have to completely reshoot. So you're looking at another 200 million before before you ever even add in marketing. So you're looking at close to $500 million before you would even start marketing and release this movie. I mean, that's the kind of thing that sinks studios. I mean,
Yeah,
seriously, they got money,
Warner
but they ain't
Brothers.
got that kind of money.
So it's release it and have a controversial
Hope for
release
the
and then
best.
have a dud because I mean
Yeah.
people will still go see it because Michael Keaton's coming back as Batman, so we'll have we'll have that. And if like Flashpoint, if did you read Flashpoint, the
Yeah,
comics?
I did.
So like and even the animated film, it is, the Flash travels through time, creates an alternate
Right.
universe, an alternate timeline, and then he returns, and it's a different, it's a different,
Everything's
slightly
changed.
different
Yeah,
Batman. Everything's
he
kind of
tried to
slightly
save his
different.
mom. Yeah.
So it's the perfect kind of setup to
A
recast, and that's
reset.
that's what that's what Marvel is hoping to do with their multiverse idea. It really is a built-in uh, device for perfect recasting of characters and revamping and moving
And I
on
tell you
from.
what, I wouldn't reshoot the whole movie. What you could
Mhm.
do when he actually comes back to, after he comes back and fixes everything, it's just a totally different guy. I mean, that's you could
Right.
reach just shoot an extra 10 minutes with a new guy cast as a Flash, and it's fixed. He's a
And
totally different person.
I like, there was a fan casting, a rumor going around saying replace it with this young actor. He was in the Maze Runner. Um,
Which one?
he's the main guy. He was the main star of the Maze
Oh yeah,
Runner.
yeah, yeah. I know
Um,
exactly who you're talking about. I can't think of his name either. I'm drawing a blank,
he's got a
but I
good
know
look. I
yeah,
think he's kind of tall. He's lean.
he's got the
Uh,
personality for it too.
well, I mean, I would love to see because I mean, right, as much as I like, I appreciate like what Snyder has done with the comic book films. mm, Ezra Miller's Barry Allen hasn't quite been like the correct
Hadn't lived up to it.
version that
Yeah,
I want to see, and I think a lot of people who love the Flash um, don't really, they want to see like a really um, kind of accurate Barry Allen Flash
right.
film. I think it would be awesome. I think it would be really cool to see somebody take care of the Flash in a fresh way. I think that's what these DC characters need, is something fresh.
Yeah,
But there's that danger of just burnout with the
right.
fans. I think. I mean, yeah, hardcore fans who are like in their teens and 20s, it's the greatest thing on that they've ever seen in their life because they haven't seen much of other films. This is all they
Right.
know. But
This is what they grew up with
so
for
there'll
the
always
last
be
10 years.
hardcore online creating accounts that are fan accounts and stuff like that. But I think
Right.
for for people that are like in our generation, um, and before, they like, we want to see, you know I don't know, I'm a little burnt out on superheroes in general. um, I could use some time away from
Yeah.
everything they're all this mess that they're doing, like this phase 5 and everything. Like, who cares? um, so I don't know. It,
I'm
I mean,
still, I'm
that's
still,
that's just how I
I still
feel.
got a little bit of hope, man. I
I know.
mean, I still do. I'm anxious to see how She-Hulk goes because I watched. I'm telling you, man, from everything I've seen of it, I mean, it's got
Uh-huh.
Ally McBeal wrote all over it, and that's what I was hoping it would do. It might breathe a little bit of fresh air into everything.
I'm not a fan of like uh that Mark Ruffalo Smart Hulk thing that they're doing. I think the Hulk
Oh
is
yeah,
supposed to
Professor
be,
Hulk. No,
this is a complete waste of this character, and I
they
am not a
neutered the
fan.
Hulk.
They just not a fan. Russo brothers. One thing that they did wrong was this Smart Hulk thing. I mean, how
Yeah,
great would it have been in Endgame, or if Bruce Banner was still like the Hulk, and at that point put his hand in the gauntlet, and like they could have still had him volunteer to,
yeah,
the Infinity Gauntlet, and put it on, and in mid, like in turn into the Hulk, and still maintain that intention of snapping. And
right.
like, how fucking awesome would it have been in that to see the real Hulk in so many of those battle scenes,
Oh yeah,
like that,
just Hulk smash. That was missing.
from both movies. I mean, I get like what they did, but it should have been resolved a little bit for a rematch. I mean, Hulk deserved better than
Oh
that.
yeah.
Mark
I
Ruffalo
mean,
Hulk is
Thanos kicked his
ridiculous.
ass.
Mark Ruffalo Hulk, like, I like the idea of like Hulk getting beat by Thanos
Yeah,
because Thanos is a
but
smart
he should have been
fighter.
able to come back.
But to have another one more rematch with Thanos and the Hulk coming back, holding him down or something, would have been
Right.
amazing,
Kind
amazing.
of like the fight between what I would have loved to have seen was kind of like the fight back from the original Incredible Hulk film, not the original Ang Lee one, but the one with Ed Norton where
Hmm.
he's holding down Abomination and just beating him to a pulp, and he
Ed
just
Norton was a
stands there with
great
his
Bruce Banner.
yeah, he just stands there on top of him with his foot, like I got you, you're done, and would have loved to seen him do that to Thanos. That would
I
have been
would have
awesome.
loved Edward Norton in these
Oh yeah,
movies.
well, but hey, that's his fault. He
Yeah,
wanted way too much money.
it wasn't that. So they were having trouble conflict with him because, like, he likes playing smart characters, and he
Yeah,
seems to be like an intelligent guy, and he was really trying to, in his words, make the script better for the Incredible Hulk
right,
film. And I don't think everybody appreciates that kind of, um, you know stepping over everybody else's jobs, and
right.
I think this is why we don't see him in a lot of stuff. But I dig the guy. I dig, like,
Oh, he's
everything
smart. He's a smart
everything
actor.
he brings is really strong. And to have seen him with, like, in the mix across from RDJ and in the Avengers, and it would have been really nice. It would have been really cool
Yeah.
instead of Mark Ruffalo.
Which I mean, I don't hate Ruffalo as Bruce Banner. I mean,
it was
he's
it
I
was
don't
okay,
hate it.
but it
But
was okay
Ed
when it,
Norton would have been so much better, man.
oh
Oh
yeah.
my God. I could just repicture. Well, I can just imagine the the first Avengers movie with Ed Norton working across from Robert Downey Jr. I mean, can
Hmm.
you imagine that? I mean,
Yeah,
it
right,
just would have been insane
right.
because those two dudes could do a master class in acting. They
Yeah,
really could.
yeah. Somewhere there's a alternate universe where Edward Norton and Andrew Garfield are in the Avengers films.
Yeah. Can you imagine some of the quips those two would have had?
I
You
mean,
know.
elevated, just all the way
Oh
elevated.
yeah, yeah. It'd have been. Oh man, it would have been incredible. It really would have been.
Um, like I like you like Edward Norton has a, like, he has a sense for the kill. And I
Yeah,
think I would listen to what that, if he wanted to change things, or, like, you know
yeah.
have some
Just listen to
ideas,
the guy.
I would listen to him. He's a
Yeah,
good, and that he's just must be a real bitch to work with, I guess, because he's
Yeah, from everything I've heard, it kind of is.
he's not in many things,
Mm-mm.
but I still like him.
Oh yeah, it's hard not to, man. I mean, the charm and the charisma that he brings to a role is just infectious. It really is. You
Yeah,
know,
but you
and
want
you
to
don't.
watch him, like
Yeah,
to
that's
see what.
exactly right. I mean, it's a magnetism. I mean, you're
Mhm.
just drawn to whatever he's playing. You
What do
can't
you,
help it.
part of that reminds me of what Walt Disney would say to like old animators, his nine old men, his original guys, was
Yeah,
he said he wants to like the audience wants to see this character think. Like he wanted to see Donald Duck thinking.
right.
And it when you show that like it's a small thing, but it means so much because now the character is alive. When the character is trying
Yeah,
to figure things out, even if it's a little gag, that a joke gag that they're doing in the small short cartoon, they're like that's how you inject life into the illusion of life into a character that they're living, that
right.
they're thinking, they're responding to their environment the way we would. So Edward Norton definitely is falls into that approach to his characters when he's working into things, and he's really cerebral. He's not the physical; he's the cerebral type of character actor, and I
Right.
appreciate that about him.
Oh yeah,
Not just
definitely.
saying his lines.
Going through the motions, he's bringing that something extra to the table that you don't
Yeah,
see a whole lot of anymore. I mean, there are
yeah.
still people out there that do it. Don't get me wrong, but it's getting few and far between. It
Well,
really is.
I think it's this, like I said, a big problem is the fact that these movies we're seeing less director driven films and more studio driven films. And as long as that studio, like that director's vision accommodates what the studio is wanting them to do, that's who they lift up. Those are the
Right.
people that we're not going to see any John Hustons or um, you know, just like these old badass filmmakers from the 60s and 70s. We're not going to
Yeah.
see like these things in the state of things right now.
You know, you've got you talked about the studios pretty much running things, but there's one guy uh, that kind of comes to mind as far, and he's not a newer director by any means. Oh, he left. Anyway, he's kind of he's been around for a while, but James Mangold is just he's one of my favorite directors right now. You know, Ford versus Ferrari, that was incredible. You know, I mean that's one of my favorite movies out there right now. Hold on, let me bring Keith back in.
Sorry, I got cut out. I think some technical difficulties. I don't know what happened.
But anyway, you know, I was talking about one of my favorite directors nowadays, James Mangold. You know, Ford versus Ferrari is probably one of the better films I've seen in the last decade,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't
Saw it.
wait to see what he does to Indiana Jones. You know, the Crystal Skull
Eee.
is a perfect example of a studio movie to
Mhm.
me. I mean, and Mangold is probably the perfect guy to come in and take a hold of this last chapter. I mean, look at Logan. You know, a lot of people love that movie. I like that movie. It could have been a lot better, but I mean, I think the studio kind of hampered Mango's vision on that movie a little bit. It could have been a lot more than what it was, but I think he kind of had free reign with Ford versus Ferrari. that kind of showed you basically what he was all about as a director. And that movie is just, oh my God, it's incredible.
Yeah,
But
it's a good
anyway,
movie. Um, uh, I'm skeptical about the Indiana Jones. I'm with Spielberg. I think it should have ended with Crusade.
oh,
Them
definitely.
riding up off
Definitely.
into the sunset. Um,
Yep.
and
That should have been a
that
wrap.
was I enjoyed that movie when I saw it back in the day, and
Still
uh,
enjoy it.
I don't want to see these heroes die, and that's what these studios seem to be all about. Is killing Skywalker, killing Wolverine, killing
Yeah.
every single character that means anything to anybody, and they think that'll leave a lasting impression. I think I want to see these heroes survive and endure
Yeah.
and
And live on in
carry
our
on
imagination.
and overcome evil. You know, I don't need to see every hero on the cross. And
Right.
they seem to be obsessed with pumping this this experience into the audience and the fandom of sacrificing the hero, that you have
Yeah.
to. I mean, I'm not sure what if there is even a coherent thought that they have for doing these things, other than lack of a better idea. So I don't want to see Indy die. I don't need to.
Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna skip uh, whatever bullshit they're gonna do with Indy. I really do. Like I love the 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 three Indiana Jones films. They're fun. I love what Harrison did, and Harrison is
Yeah.
interested in
Who
killing off
didn't
his
want to be
characters all the
Indiana?
time.
Yeah. Who didn't want to be Indiana Jones when they were growing
Yeah,
up?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just it's in like forget it's immersive. And it's that same thing that Lucas was inspired by, of those early
Saturday afternoon. Yeah. Serial
recapturing, reinventing that
matinee.
adventure Saturday matinee thing.
Yeah.
That was part of his mission, and he did that with at least Raiders, um, and
Oh,
uh,
definitely.
the original three Star Wars are always going to be something I rewatch. So,
Yeah.
but
And one thing that kind of stuck with me that you said a while ago,
mhm,
that about Star Wars and it not being, well, what they're turning it into. And I
mhm,
mean, even though Lucas said it was made for children, Star
mm,
Wars was very dark. I mean,
mhm,
very, very dark, especially The
yeah,
Empire Strikes Back. It went
mhm,
to some very dark places.
mhm.
And what was the director? Was it Irvin Kershner that directed
That sounds right.
Empire?
I don't remember, but like Empire's like the favorite among fans
Yeah.
of the
And
originals.
and if tell me, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Irvin Kershner was kind of George Lucas's mentor from back in the day, and he kind of he studied from him at film school while he was at USC. And anyway,
Mm,
honestly, I mean, yeah, George created this, but I think the first movie was a perfect movie. But I really think that he should have uh, he should have kept the franchise. He should have kept Star Wars, but he should have put it in another director's hands for the movies. They
mhm,
claim that I can't even remember the guy that they claim directed the third one, but everybody knows Lucas pretty much directed Return of the Jedi.
mm,
Um, and him and Kirshner kind of clashed on Empire. I mean, and I can see that. I mean, that it was George's baby.
yeah.
I mean, this was his creation. Of course, he's going to clash with somebody that thinks a little differently about his vision and kind of has some a different idea. But all the different ideas and the compromise between the two made for probably, in my mind, the best, and probably a lot of other people's minds, the best movie of the franchise. The entire franchise
Hmm.
was Empire,
Yeah.
and it because it was a deep dive. You know, you got to know the characters, you got to see their relationships and how they work together. That one had the most story building out of all the Star Wars franchise, because you got to know what Han Solo was all about. You got to know, you got to learn the connection between Han and Chewie, you know, and how
Mhm.
close they were, and Lando and Leia, and how she felt about Han, and you got to see Luke and what he feared, and I mean, it was a deep dive,
Yeah.
and we you were talking about movies built upon story. That movie is built largely. I mean, everything about that movie is the story of Star Wars,
Right.
and it done a deep dive, and it done the world building, and it done the character building, and they've never been able to recapture that in my mind since that movie. Return of the Jedi was good. It was really good, but none of the Disney stuff comes close to that. I mean, it doesn't even hold a
Of
candle
course
to
not. They had no plan. So how
none.
can you have a story arc if you have no
No
script
plan.
or outline for where it's going, and you give it to an idiot director who is bit like hell bent on destroying what was set up and
Right.
and disrupting everything that was before.
Just for a shock
So
factor.
yeah, he's a like closet psychopath, and that's his approach to filmmaking. Um, uh, you
I
know,
got you.
so but if you look at the original Lucas Star Wars, one like a 4, 5, and 6, the Empire Strikes Back is the middle part, second act of a three act story, and
Right.
that's the part of the story where it has the entire like we get to know the characters more. So first act is set up and the call to adventure, and the second one is going to be now we're in it. We're in the conflict. I mean, it ends on that cliffhanger, and
Yeah.
the third act is going to be the resolution of everything that we just went through in Act Two, and known the characters. So it works perfectly as a single 3 act story, 4, 5, and 6. Um,
Right. It's
um,
perfect storytelling.
like I said, Disney is not in the least bit interested in story. They're not in the least bit interested in having a satisfying experience. They're hitting so whatever it is, social agendas or um, whatever their marketing agenda is, whatever the trend is, and it's a shit barometer to
Yeah.
go on uh, for anything of uh, substance, you know, um, because trends
I got you.
change. Trend like the audience's opinions change, and to use a trend or a they're so out of touch and they don't even know it.
Right.
It's the state of I mean it's the state of the political system. It's the state of our entertainment is they're completely out of touch and they think they got it because they're looking at social media and they think life is social media, and like
Yeah.
this is
It's
their
fake
era.
life.
you
Yeah.
know it's just it's a disappointing mess for true fans.
And the sad part is, you get down to it, I think that's why George Lucas sold the franchise. You know, but because of fans just like me and you and everybody else, he he seen that we couldn't be satisfied. He was just trying to tell his own story, and he wasn't going to change for anybody. He had his plan, and
Hmm.
the fans were so cruel to him after the prequels. He just said, "I'm done."
Yeah,
Just like
yeah,
you doing, you waving
yeah,
the white flag. He said,
yeah.
I'm done. You can't satisfy
There's
these
no
fuckers."
pleasing
Yeah,
this fan base. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
I'm done. I'm
I get
selling
it.
this shit.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get why he did it, and but I think he's extremely, I mean,
regretful.
he's seeing. Yeah, I don't know how he can't be.
Oh,
I
you
think
know
he
he
sold
is.
it. He thought he was putting it into trusting hands,
Good hands. Yeah.
and you know, that was. I think he was lied to. I really do
Oh yeah,
by
definitely.
Kennedy,
I
and
think well, not only her, but all of them, because if you remember, he had treatments for the next three movies already written out,
yeah,
and they just trashed them. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
they just said, "No, we're going to do our own thing. We own it now. Fuck you, George."
yeah. And there's been so many books and comics written that are the extended universe, but like aren't considered canon to
Dude,
like George,
yeah.
But there were so many things that they could have implemented, and where they could have reunited the three and
Oh
still
yeah.
introduced a.
A
I
new
mean,
set,
if you
a new
have
bunch of
if
yeah, a
like
younger bunch of
I
heroes.
my my you can't help but like imagine what it could have been like, and like them trying Leia becoming some kind of you know piece of the Senate or the rebuilding of the government,
Well,
and
I read all those novels that are now
yeah,
just what they call what do they even call them now? That doesn't even matter. But they carried on with the story up till Disney bought it, and they were all approved by George Lucas. He had final say so on all these novels because they carried on his legacy and his story, and they he read them and signed off on them before they were ever approved to be printed through Lucas Studios. And dude, Leia, she was the head of the High Republic. She was
there you go,
the president or whatever of the High Republic. Um, Han Solo was still General Solo.
General, right,
I'm yeah. And Luke, he had rebuilt. He had done just what Yoda told him to take what he had
right.
learned and pass it on. He had rebuilt the uh, the Jedi. The Jedi Temple was back on Coruscant. Well, actually, no, it wasn't on Coruscant. It was on another planet. But still, he had rebuilt the temple, and there were hundreds of Jedi, already back that he had trained personally.
I mean,
He was a Jedi master.
I can think of a very obvious conflict of the new government, um, politicians saying there's no use for Jedi anymore, and and we see Master Luke training, you know, Han and Leia's child, his own child, amongst other
Right.
new characters, and you could have used
Yeah.
that whole Master Jedi Luke as a introduction of new characters that you could have carried
Oh,
on in
definitely.
shows and future movies. I mean, what is the problem? Like, you can still have a great story and meet these ridiculous social politics that they're trying to inject into everything,
Right.
and you can keep the fans that you that
You
have been
had
with it,
for decades.
instead of
For
alienating them and having some
right.
kind of weird chip on your shoulder, and and bringing in new fans with these new characters that you could have set up as new Jedi's that were trained by the old and new fans would have like appreciated that. They would have been grateful for that. They would have loved
Right.
that, and you wouldn't be in a such a um, divided
The fandom wouldn't be split
fa-
down the middle.
fan base. Yeah, and it's not that hard to like. It's not that hard to think up.
Right.
it's not that hard to like come up with these obvious
That's one thing that,
directions.
yeah, Kennedy, every time she brings it up, it kills me. Well, we've got nothing to go off of. You've got 40 plus years of novels, that were an extended story of George's original story that any one of them could have been adapted into a screenplay. And there's probably 100 different novels that carried on that story. And every one of them, I mean, there were some of them that could have been turned into trilogies out of one book, you know.
Hmm.
And it's just
Hmm.
insane when she said, "Well, we've got nothing, we
That's another like ignorant slap in the face
yeah,
to the people that created this entire thing that they just drag around on the floor. Um,
yeah."
just a disrespect to like real
Lucas
like
and
art
everybody
and
that's ever,
creativity.
yeah, anybody that's ever, and I mean, some of the people that actually wrote some of the original novels are still, they come back and
Yeah,
for a paycheck to
George is
rewrite this
alive.
new history. Yeah, but I mean, some of these people, I wish, I wish to God they would bring him back to let him direct one. You know, that
Even
would
if
be
it's
really
not to
cool.
direct, just to
Just oversee it. You know,
yeah,
bring him in as a consultant.
it's a goddamn mess. And
It is.
I like call me when you get your shit together. I'm not like
So
like I
you're
really don't.
out, huh?
Yeah, I am.
Check
I
him
am.
out. Y'all do
I'm
it.
not
Yeah.
falling for it. I'm not. And I love the original Star Wars. And I
Right.
even I even appreciate the prequels as a fun rewatch sometimes. So but this I can't get behind. I think Favreau had some nice intentions, nice ideas with the
Yeah.
Mandalorian. If he was allowed to do the more gritty Mandalorian, that I think was
You
the
see
original
shades of it.
intention.
Yeah.
Yeah, not enough. Not enough. Uh,
Tell me something.
yeah.
Who has been your favorite emerging director out of all the ones that have worked on The Mandalorian?
Mm.
There's been some good ones.
I think Favreau needed to do more film, more directing, and writing. I think Favreau could have done the Obi-Wan series, and we would have had a better result with that too, because that
Oh
was
yeah.
completely wasted. Another Luke situation. Um, but I've been looking at like I've been enjoying like Better Call Saul, and I've been
Yeah.
enjoying. I just watched 1883, spinoff of Yellowstone by Taylor Sheridan, who's turned out like some unbelievable scripts and storytelling from Sicario um, to
That's a
this like
badass movie.
yeah, well, he wrote the screenplay. I mean, this guy is on a roll. He's doing some nice with Yellowstone and 1883. There's some like real masculinity in there, but also honoring like feminine women,
Yeah.
um, and like just a nice. And it's not like these aren't like weak women. They're strong depictions of women in the frontier
Right.
in 1883. I mean, the main character follows an 18-year-old, and they're on the Oregon Trail. And this is just a backstory of how the Yellowstone family, Kevin Costner's family, ended up settling. And
Yeah.
it's great writing. It's really good writing. It's refreshing. I mean, um, Vince Gilligan with his Breaking Bad world of Better Call Saul, also incredible writing. And there's just there's no excuse for what they're doing to Star Wars, what they're doing with the Marvel characters, and just
Yeah.
churning out one after another of junk, of ruining character. Like they're just trying to do it so fast and just please. I don't know who
Just
they're
pumping
for.
it out.
I don't know who any of these things are for that Disney is pumping out in Disney Plus. Um, Doctor Strange was, I don't
A
like,
hot mess.
didn't make any sense. It made zero sense as a follow up to the original, which was good.
It shouldn't even been it should have been Scarlet Witch in the well, it shouldn't even been the Multiverse of Madness. It should have just been called Scarlet Witch. Period.
What's what's
You
that
know.
character's name that was in the first? Is it Mordo or Modo or whatever
Oh,
his name is?
you're talking about the guy from the original Doctor Strange that
Yeah,
was his friend that
hmm
trained him.
yeah.
Is it Mordo? I think it
I
is
think it's
Mordo.
Mordo. And why wasn't that just the follow up of what he was doing?
Yeah,
You still could have
let
had
him been the
Scarlet
villain.
Witch come in, but instead we got a continuation of that horrible like storyline of her like being deranged about these imaginary kids. It continued
Well,
from the
not
show
only that,
to this
you
movie.
did a they did a jump. They didn't earn it. You know where they ended. Um. Oh my God. The series, WandaVision. There we go.
Yeah.
Where
hmm
they ended that series, and then where this movie picks up, they didn't earn any of that. You know,
Did it go
I mean,
backwards? Didn't she go backwards? Like she came out of it at the end of WandaVision,
yeah, she was. I mean,
and
all
then
the
she's
people
still.
confronted her that she had trapped in that town, and you thought she'd learned her lesson, you know, and she comes out of it, and all of a sudden you jump to this movie, and oh, she's the big bad, you know, she kills. She's walking through multiverses and slaying the Illuminati one by one, and I mean, just
There was
ruthless.
this
That wasn't earned.
ridiculous, ridiculous line that Scarlet Witch says in the film, and I was like, that's like a backhanded comment to mothers. She yells this. She says, "I'm not a monster. I'm a mother." What the
That makes
hell?
it
Is
okay.
that
Yeah,
supposed to be some kind of empowering like comment that
I
like
didn't get
you're
it.
mistaking a mother for a monster? Like it doesn't make any sense. There has to be a
That
complete
whole movie made absolutely no sense to me.
free cocaine in the Disney offices. Like just
That's how they start their day.
like
Just hit a good line.
pouring some cocaine in their coffee or something.
Yeah.
Like they're
Instead
using
of
it as
sugar
creamer.
packets, yeah.
Yeah, they're just using it as creamer or something. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like nothing. Like that movie didn't make any sense. Like
No. And
Sam Raimi
you did.
was the effects were awful. Like
Yeah.
nothing. Just
Did you see? I think I asked you. You didn't see Thor: Love and Thunder yet, huh? After Doctor Strange, you
I
said,
will
"Fuck it,
I will die without ever seeing Love or Thunder or Thor. I will not see that film.
dude." That movie was a dumpster fire. I wished I had bailed on it because I put it this way: Have you seen Hot Shots Part Two?
A long time ago.
Yes. This movie is kind of in that vein. It's almost like
Yeah.
a spoof of a Marvel movie. It's like
hmm
a spoof of a Thor movie. That's how bad it
Yeah.
was.
They made a
Now
fool
I'm
out of the
all for
character.
yeah, I'm all for humor,
hmm
but they jumped off a fucking cliff with it. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, they give a lot of people can say, well, you know, they don't give directors enough creative freedom,
hmm
and I think Marvel kind of bit themselves in the ass by giving the directors too much freedom in this phase, because
uh-huh.
I mean, Taika, he didn't write Ragnarok. A lot of people kind of
hmm
credit him for that. He just directed it. He didn't write that movie, and
hmm
it was it was incredible. It kind of it give a new breath of life to the character, you know. But it everything that Ragnarok built up just goes down in flames with Love and Thunder. I mean,
Man.
it's serious. It's horrible, man. It's garbage.
Wow.
It's terrible. There were so
Wow.
many themes in there that were serious themes, and followers of the comics know the story behind the mighty Thor and Jane. You know, she's got cancer, and they use that theme in this movie, and they turn it into a joke.
Man.
and just like oh god, Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher. You
Hmm.
know, his family. He lost his family, and he takes vengeance on the gods. And it was that could have been so good. And he's such a good
I
such a good
know.
actor. And they turned it into a joke. It was all
That's
ha ha,
terrible.
funny, funny. You know, it was just terrible. Everything about it was
Yeah.
just garbage.
Yeah. That's what I mean is like as long as you're a director going along with them, you're like they love you. But if you've got your own vision that doesn't like include whatever it is their agendas are, then you're you're not going to get into one of these films.
Yeah,
Um, it's just it really is it. That's just it's how it is. And I
it's
mean, I
sad.
see things. I see things just being an illustrator, the job that I have, and I see, I got things I can say, but I can't say publicly tell you about it.
Right.
But um, there's definitely a industry agenda that
Yeah.
are very much serving just politics.
Oh,
Which
definitely.
is
I mean,
uh,
it's plain as the nose on your face.
it's antithesis for art and
Yeah.
what anything of substance is, um, and it serves no one. So it's unfortunate. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's very unfortunate what they're doing, to our heroes. It
yeah,
really is.
yeah.
But anyway, now that everybody is down in the dumps, I think that's a good way to end it.
Good luck, you
We,
fuckers. Good luck.
yeah, good fucking luck trying to watch a decent Marvel or Star Wars
Yeah,
property ever again.
yeah,
But hey, that's our take on it. But pulling back just a minute, I
yeah.
all the people that worked on these movies. I mean, they employ hundreds of people, and
Mm-hmm.
they put their blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad that these things have turned out to be what they are. It
Mm-hmm.
because these people, whether they're making costumes, whether they're putting their heart into this,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's becoming, it's just sad the way it turns out. You know.
yeah.
But anyway, I'm going to jump off. Appreciate everybody jumping on.
Bailing,
And
huh?
yeah,
That's it.
I don't know if
Okay.
my heart can take anymore, man. But anyway,
But I think before you sign off, like
go
I
ahead.
think
Go
I
ahead.
think there is still hope. I think there
Oh
is
yeah,
in in the like it's outside of the the mainstream because it's all been politically compromised. So I really think that the the hope lies within individual creators that are up and coming and creating new things. And whether it's indie comics or independent film, I've worked with
definitely.
um, some really good young directors coming up. I'm going to be working with one uh, tomorrow. In fact, today, tomorrow,
Oh, that's awesome.
um, and
Congrats.
and I mean they're in commercials for now,
Yeah.
but
Well, they'll
like
move on.
there's hope in up and coming and new creators. That's why it's very important if you're a new creator out there, um, to not treat yourself like a corporation, to not
Right.
do what the to not follow in suit what the companies do, and do what you feel compelled to do. Do what's in your
Right.
heart
Be true to yourself.
and be smart about it. Just be smart about it. And and I think we're going to see just more awesome stuff coming up from indies whether it's comics or every medium, and hope is not lost. It's just you know these new things have been hijacked, and I'm out. I'm off the flaming wagon. I
Yeah,
jumped.
you jumped off the dumpster fire.
Yeah, but I still believe in good storytelling. I still believe that there's room
Right.
to recreate things that inspired us, that drove us to be creators. So, um, that I truly believe. I'll never stop believing in good storytelling. Um,
Oh yeah, it's gonna come back around. I mean, it's got to, because it's not just us that are feeling disenfranchised with all this right now.
no,
I mean, there's
no.
a large fan outcry against Star Wars. There's a large fan cry outcry against Marvel. And I
Hmm.
mean, jumping back on the Marvel thing for a minute, one of the big changes between everything we'd seen at Marvel until this last phase was Kevin Feige had full
Hmm.
control until phase
Yeah.
4.
Hmm.
It was his brainchild, his baby, his fingers were in all the pies. He overseen every movie until this
Yeah.
phase. And that was because the corporation, Disney, their new CEO kind of stepped in and clipped his wings, and
Really?
they put that. Yeah, yeah. That's why you've seen such a big change in this last phase
Wow, I didn't
because
know that.
yes, he Foggy doesn't have the final say so on things like he did in the last three phases.
Wow. Wow.
They took a lot of his creative control away, and the suits are calling the shots in this phase, and you see what it's amounted to. I mean,
Yeah.
Feige's a nerd. He's king of the nerds as far as I'm concerned. He's just like me and you. He's just like all these people that I mean, he's a fan at heart.
Right.
He loves this stuff. He loves the characters, and you've seen that love in the first three phases of these movies. And like I said, they yes, he's still over Marvel Studios, but he does not have near about the creative control that he had. They clipped his wings,
Wow.
and hopefully there'll be enough outcry that he gets back his creative control in these next two phases and is able to finish up what he started. You know,
Yeah.
so we'll see. But we're fixing to call it a day. But just like I want to kind of echo what Keith said, never give up on your dreams.
Right.
If anything that you dream, if you put enough hard work into it, you can make it happen. I mean, you can achieve anything you want to achieve, but you got to want it. You got to put in the time, you got to put in the heart, you got to give it all you got to make it happen because nobody's going to do it for you. And I just want to leave you guys with that. It's good to be back on the air talking with everybody. It's good to be back on with my buddy Keith, shooting the shit with him. It's always a good time. Um, you guys have a great one. Have a blessed one. Have an awesome weekend, and hopefully we'll we'll have another show next week. And we'll see who will shut on next week. Maybe we, maybe
Maybe
we'll
we'll
have
talk about
something
things we
positive.
like.
Yeah, maybe we'll be talking about things we like again. But you guys have a blessed one. Take it easy.
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks so much.
Thanks for being on, Keith. It's always awesome, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Take care.
You too.